Hi everyone, and a huge welcome to today's explainer. I am so incredibly excited to be your guide today. If you're a grade 10 student tuning in, go ahead and grab your notebooks because today we are totally mastering Chapter 3 of your geography syllabus for those upcoming exams. We're unpacking the major types of agricultural land utilization in the world. All right, let's just jump right in and get these concepts locked down. So here's our roadmap for today's session. We'll be covering the importance of agricultural land, global wheat cultivation, plantation agriculture systems, the benefits of livestock farming, and finally, paddy cultivation zones. Let's get to it. Starting off with Section 1, the importance of agricultural land, which is really our foundation. Throughout history, human societies have gone through some massive industrial and technological revolutions. We've gone from horse-drawn carts to smartphones in our pockets. But despite all those massive long-term changes, agriculture remains our ultimate foundation. Without it supplying the world's food and animal products, well, humanity simply doesn't survive. But it actually goes way beyond just our dinner plates. Agriculture feeds right into our factories, providing raw materials for huge industrial sectors. Think cotton for the clothes you're wearing, or rubber for tires. And because this operates on such a massive scale, it literally employs a huge majority of the global population. So agriculture, it's absolutely the engine of both our basic survival and global industry. Moving on to Section 2, global wheat cultivation, or what we call the global staples. Now, wheat isn't just grown anywhere. It actually requires a very specific set of environmental conditions to thrive on a commercial scale. So the absolute crucial point here, and you'll definitely want to star this in your notes, is the rainfall requirement. Wheat demands an annual rainfall right between 300 and 500 millimeters. Combined with a cool, wet climate during its growing season, this specific window of moisture is an absolute must-have for successful global wheat farming. But it's not just about the rain. Wheat also needs the perfect ground. To get those massive harvests, you really need flat lands with well-draining soil, specifically a nutrient-rich type called Chernozem soil. It's this dark, incredible soil that is just famous for producing huge wheat harvests. Now sure, modern farmers also rely heavily on capital investment, advanced technology, and fancy modern seed varieties. But honestly, without that specific Chernozem soil and flat terrain, those huge yields just wouldn't happen. Okay, and that brings us to a super vital exam definition you need to know, monoculture. So what exactly does this mean? It simply means cultivating a single crop, in this case wheat, over a massive, sprawling area of land. This is the defining characteristic of commercial wheat farming in places like the USA or Russia. And here's the really fascinating part. Even though the yield per single unit of land might actually be a bit lower, the per capita harvest, meaning the amount of wheat produced per farmer, is off the charts. Why? Because these farms are so incredibly huge and so highly mechanized that the actual population living and working in those areas is surprisingly low. Let's shift gears to Section 3, plantation agriculture systems. These are the commercial giants. So how do we define plantation agriculture? Basically, it is highly organized, export-oriented farming that happens on very large estates. It relies heavily on strict management and specifically trained labor. We're not talking about a small family farm here. This is a massive commercial enterprise. We are talking about vast estates entirely dedicated to crops like tea, rubber, sugarcane, coffee, and cocoa. To really grasp the impact of these plantation crops, let's just look at natural rubber for a second. Cultivating natural rubber provides a tremendous economic boost to developing nations. It creates jobs, brings in vital foreign exchange, and it even supplies local manufacturing industries that make finished goods. But, it doesn't exist in a vacuum. Natural rubber faces this fierce, constant market competition from synthetic, chemically produced rubber. And that creates some pretty complex market and pricing challenges that natural rubber-producing countries have to navigate every single day. All right, Section 4, livestock farming benefits, looking beyond just crops. Livestock farming is just incredibly dynamic. Not only does it elevate our population's nutritional levels by giving us protein-rich food, but it also serves as a major economic engine. It creates rural jobs and provides a really stable extra income for farming families. Plus, livestock naturally produces organic fertilizer, which goes right back into the soil for crop farming. It's a win-win. But the point I really want you to underline for your exam is this one right here. Livestock farming maximizes the use of marginal lands, or bare lands. These are areas with really poor soil where you simply couldn't grow crops like wheat or tea, but they are perfectly fine for grazing animals. It is just a brilliant way to make every single inch of land productive. Generating foreign exchange is just the cherry on top.
Okay, let's pause for a quick second. We've traveled the globe, right? We've explored vast wheat monocultures, massive rubber plantations, and super efficient livestock systems. But what about the food that fuels our own homes? What about our primary staple food?
That brings us to Section 5, Paddy Cultivation Zones, our local anchor. Paddy cultivation is completely woven into our identity here in Sri Lanka. First and foremost, rice is our absolute main staple food. But just like those global crops we studied earlier, it's also a vital commercial crop for us. It's a source of numerous subsidiary products. Just think about all the different types of rice-based foods we have, and even animal feed. It supplies raw materials for various local industries, too. And because it's so critical to us, it is heavily supported by dedicated government research institutes. Places like the institutes in Bottolagoda and Bambuela are constantly working to develop better seed varieties and provide crucial guidance to our farmers. Now let's build a quick mental map of how paddy spans across our 4 distinct environmental zones. What makes paddy so incredible in Sri Lanka is its absolute adaptability. In the dry zone, you'll find the major expansive areas of both historical and modern cultivation, which rely heavily on irrigation. Then, the intermediate zone provides a transitional climate for diverse yields. Down in the wet zone, cultivation has adapted to handle really high frequent rainfall. And even up in the mountain lands, farmers use these brilliant terraced cultivation techniques to grow paddy right on steep slopes. It literally covers the entire island. So, as we wrap up today's study session, I really want to leave you with this summarizing thought straight from your textbook. Despite undergoing various changes over a long period, the value of agriculture has not decreased from the past to the present. From those massive, endless wheat fields to the beautiful, terraced paddy fields right in our own mountains, agriculture remains the permanent, unshakable bedrock of human survival and our global economy. I want to end today's explainer with a big question for you to ponder. We've learned all about how things work today, but as global populations continue to grow rapidly, and as technologies like gene modification and advanced farming keep evolving, how do you think the agricultural zones we studied today will transform in the next 50 years? It's definitely a fascinating thought to chew on. Thank you so much for joining me in this study session. Keep reviewing your notes, stay curious, and I wish you the absolute best of luck on your geography exams. You've totally got